I'm so glad that she got the important business out of the way. Girls do rule the world, don't we? Yeah. And we acknowledge the men for your contributions too. You just don't rule the world, though. First of all, it is an honor and a delight to be here with you this afternoon or this morning. It has been a welcoming experience, and this is my second visit to Puerto Rico. My first time was a vacation. Now I'm doing work and a little vacation dabbled in. And so I appreciate that. And I want to also thank your CEO of the Trust, Ms. Crespo, for her hospitality and continued service. And of course, your Honorable Secretary Sidre, who has been so kind to spend time with us, and appreciate meeting their teams. I can tell you that you have leadership here that cares deeply about the people of Puerto Rico, as well as the state of affairs of this beautiful island. And so that should offer you hope and confidence in good things to come. I am here visiting from North Carolina, as you heard, and have the Chief of Staff of the Department of Commerce here as well, Marquita Welton. And I also have a couple of other North Carolinians with me. One, Dr. Esther Alegria, who is a dear friend and former colleague of mine, and a native Puerto Rican here, and actually has introduced me to the beautiful culture, many times Spanish and English, which you would call, I guess, Spanglish, all mixed in. And we've had a lot of good times together, and she is surely a person who represents, I believe, the heart of the people here and continues to contribute here. And to all of you and the students, we have a student here from North Carolina who is Esther's granddaughter, Carmela Gamblin, who's here. And I haven't talked to Carmela about this, but I believe she is a future STEMist herself in Macon. So Carmela, I'm now putting you in the field of STEM to solve all the problems of the world with all these other people who are here. But very pleased to have them here today as well. So as you've heard a little bit about North Carolina, I don't think North Carolina comes to mind when we think about the space industry necessarily, but there is something I'm going to tell you about North Carolina and you'll understand that connection. But today I want to talk about how our state has moved to a prosperous place in the economy, share some of the lessons and insights from North Carolina's economic development strategy, and you will hear some of the same things as I speak to you today, and you will also hear the similarities and how we are all working together for a common mission, and that is to improve the quality of life of people and also to improve the conditions for humankind. And so as public servants, we take that near and dear to our hearts. So 120 years ago in North Carolina, the Wright brothers took off from a place called Kitty Hawk. It's on North Carolina's Outer Banks, and that transformed the world. First in flight is what you'll hear sometimes associated with North Carolina, but probably not much about the space industry. So from the earliest days, though, I want to share with you that North Carolina was on NASA's radar for the space industry. In 1949, on the campus of the University of North Carolina, the first planetarium opened in the South. It was called the Moorhead Planetarium. How many of you are familiar with the Moorhead Planetarium? Some. That's great. It was named by a successful businessman who worked at Union Carbide Corporation. I believe he was the founder. And it was designed by the architects who planned the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. The building was the most expensive building in North Carolina up until that time. It's one of the major investments in science at that time. 10 years after opening, the planetarium was called to serve the nation's new space program. And between 1960 and 1975, nearly every astronaut who participated in Mercury Gemini, Apollo, Skylab, and Apollo Soyuz programs, came to North Carolina to learn how to navigate the stars alone. And more than once, the training of these astronauts that they received there, it saved lives, including the ill-fated Apollo 13 mission, which of course, many of us know that that is the subject of a famous film. So the commander of that mission, James Lavelle, credits his training to University of North Carolina for helping them navigate back safely. And he stated in an interview, said, "It's been a long time since those days at the Moorhead Planetarium when you taught me about the stars. I thought I would let you know that the training sank in, and 25 years later, I'm training Tom Hanks about the stars." So we acknowledge that great work at the Moorhead Planetarium. Now, in North Carolina, we have an area called Research Triangle Park, as we call it, and it was founded on important principles. And those principles were ones that leveraged science, research, and education, and then creating a platform and opportunities for people to collaborate and to drive economic success in our community. Now, there's more to say about the role of science and education in economic development, but first, I just want to make a clear point that education is the foundation and it's the linchpin for an economy's thriving, an economy doing well, for people prospering. And I think we all know that it opens doors. And I believe that STEM education is necessary to solve all the problems of the world today, whether those are social problems or climate change or clean energy or solving a cure for cancer or health care, or just solving how we create new technologies that are going to enhance the way that we operate and do business today. STEM has a place, whether that is gaming technology, and we also saw so many other different ways that STEM education can empower you and can open the doors to opportunity. Now, North Carolina is the 9th most populous state in the nation, and we are the 3rd largest growing state in the nation. So there has been a lot of growth, there's been a lot of success, but that didn't happen overnight. It happened through visionary leadership and a lot of people who were committed, as you all are here today, to something much bigger than any individual, much bigger than even our communities that we live in. Committed to a better way of life, a better way of living, and offering our people an economy that can help create opportunities for them. So within North Carolina, as the Secretary of North Carolina's Department of Commerce, I'll tell you a little bit about what I do, and I'm sure it is very similar to what Secretary Sidre does and his agency as well. Within North Carolina Department of Secretary, we have 1,600 employees in 4 major divisions and a handful of other support groups. We operate with a budget of about $165 million, and we manage over $375 million in federal and state receipt funding projects. Now, those projects and that work is focused on economic development, workforce development, employment security, data and analytics, and then there's also a special focus on rural economic development. We have a very comprehensive agency, one of the most comprehensive agencies that has a broad scope, and we also have a partner who helps us in recruiting companies to North Carolina and marketing of companies to North Carolina. So overall, when it all boils down, what the department does is that we help local communities attract businesses and then help them to compete for their fair share of that business. And so that gives us the economic growth that we all hope for. it helps to set us apart and to create a competitive edge, as you guys are also doing here today with your work, is creating that competitive advantage not only for yourselves as you compete in a global market, but for Puerto Rico as well. A key part of that preparation, a key part in preparing those communities, is preparing our people. Our workforce, in other words. And I think we heard a lot about workforce. I didn't have my translation on while she was speaking, and I was looking on the screen, and I was like, that doesn't look the same at all. But I did see the words workforce, and I know the importance of workforce from talking to some of your representatives and leaders here. So it's important to make steps and to continue to enable people for not only jobs of today, but jobs of the future. And that takes investment in education and training systems to prepare people. Since 2017, which is when I began in state government, in a different agency, under Governor Roy Cooper, the Department of Commerce has helped to create over 108,000 jobs in North Carolina and attract over $60 billion of new and private sector development. So the hard work has paid off from way back when we just talked about the Wright brothers and the Moorhead Planetarium and RTP and many leaders to come. And so I mentioned that because the work that you're doing today, the things that you're learning and collaborating on today will surely pay off and will help bring about a brighter future and opportunities for Puerto Rico. The state of North Carolina's work has paid off in that for 2 consecutive years, we've been recognized as the best state to do business in the United States by CNBC and from other credible sources as well. So preparing the community, making sure that we're continuing to be competitive and not resting on our laurels is very important to navigate in this disruptive environment and competitive environment that we work in. And I mentioned about North Carolina being the first in flight. We have a strategic economic development plan, which is the first in talent. And the reason for that plan is because their talent is so important. So pleased to see the youth that are here today who are exploring and learning more about the STEM space, because that is the talent that will not only help us in the future, but will help create the strategies and the way to the future and to a better future for Puerto Rico. So it's estimated that in North Carolina, that 67% of the jobs of the future by 2025 will require a post-secondary degree. And I would think that the same is, or at least close to it, here in Puerto Rico, that post-secondary education is required or needed. And so there again, we see the importance of not only investing in education, but being a strong and a fierce advocate for education. And that's not just advanced degrees. That could be a degree or a certification, because we all know that it takes different perspectives, different people, different education levels to really bring about innovation in any setting and environment. That diversity helps bring that innovation. So successful talent development takes education across all spectrums, from kindergarten to postgraduate classes, from cradle to career, and whatever it takes to meet the life learning needs of people. So without a doubt, of course, I'm going to say North Carolina has a fantastic education system, right? Because I'm from North Carolina, and I'm actually a part of the education system. I guess one of those that went through it. But I can say confidently that the university system, the education system, work closely together along with the community college system to enable the workforce to meet the business needs of today. Our university system in 2018 awarded 110,000 degrees, and that was included about 524,000 students, while our community college system had about 300,000 students. So a large number of students and a large pipeline of talent coming out through investment and also raising their awareness about the importance of education across the state. That's why we say that we are the state of minds, if you will. And so it's something that CEOs are looking for, and it is one of the first things that they are interested in. Many states have incentives and have other things that they include in their economic development proposals, but the one thing that tips that decision over the top is the talent. Talent and the people are Puerto Rico's greatest asset. Though you have many other assets on the island, the people are the greatest asset. The talent is your greatest asset. Workforce development is the way to a prosperous economy. And investment in the infrastructure for that workforce is surely important. Now, when I say investment into the infrastructure, I don't just mean the water and the sewer and the utilities and highways and the roadways. Another part of infrastructure is the education. It is investing in education. It is housing and affordable housing. It is access to health care and access to health care for all people. It is also investing in the environment so that you can drink water and breathe air and be confident that it's safe. So all of those things together are an infrastructure. It's having child care and being able to go to work and to enable people to go to work and not have to worry about where their children will be or how do I keep my kids and work at the same time. Child care is also a part of that infrastructure. And I mention those things because when I speak about the infrastructure in North Carolina, that's what we're talking about. And investing in those things it matters and it's important. And those of you today, you guys have a say in that, because I'm sure, how many of you actually participate and engage in who becomes your lawmaker, who becomes your mayor, who becomes whatever the positions are? How many of you here today have a say? Nobody has a, you do have a say. Does anybody have a say? Am I going to have to make the statement and have a say? Who has a say in the process? Right, I see the hands go up. You have a say. So if those things are important to you, if you believe there should be investment and more investment in the education system here, if you believe that you should have a quality of life that we all want and dream of, if you believe you should have good paying jobs, if you believe there should be investment in STEM education, and if you believe there should be investment in you and your life, you can influence that because you have a say. And so I wanted to note that and mention that, and I can get on a tangent about that because I'm very passionate about the people having a say. But I mention that because I want you to realize that and value that you have power and you have a say to make a difference. Whether that is voting, or whether that is advocating, or whether that is engaging and contributing to nonprofits or other things in your community, you have a say and an impact on the outcome of the economic conditions of the residents of Puerto Rico. Now, in North Carolina, speaking of nonprofits, we have a nonprofit called My Future NC. It's a statutorily created group, and the mission of that group is to have 2 million post-secondary degrees by 2030. So there again is an organization of people, private and public partnerships that come together to put forward strategies and to take actions to improve education and to ensure that there's post-secondary education for people. So I think you're hearing a common theme here about one of the ingredients in the success of North Carolina's economic success and the work that we do as public servants. And it's the same theme that's going on at this summit today. Does anybody know what that theme is? I think we heard what some themes mentioned. Education? Yeah, education, communication, collaboration, all of those things are important, and we have that in common, and we have those opportunities to continue to build on that. And so whether that was RTP being formed, or whether that was the creation of organizations that are supporting the economy, or whether that is about the infrastructure, investing in the education is very important. Very important. And if you notice, I'll say investing, because it truly is an investment in people. It's not lost on us that it takes funding and money to do that, but it is an investment in people. Within commerce, we also have an organization or a group called Science, Technology, and Innovation. And so that group's broad mission is to help the state grow its innovative ecosystem, if you will. And that ecosystem includes the universities, small businesses, startups. It includes a lot of different organizations. One of the organizations that is important to our economy and important to the innovation ecosystem was created from that board of Science, Technology, and Innovation and Commerce over 35 years ago, with the leadership of a governor who had that vision and foresight, and that's called the North Carolina Biotech Center. The North Carolina Biotech Center has helped to build and advance the life science industry in our state, and it's just one example of a way to bring parties together and focus on a sector for the advancement of that sector. Another better known or well-known organization in North Carolina is called Microelectronics Center, and that operates to help with fiber connections, because we know without broadband access and without access to the world, if you will, not only does it stifle innovation, it also can stifle the business growth that we'd all like to see. That's another way for us to focus in on innovation, science, technology, and the advancement of that work. So those are just a few or some of the assets that we have, and I'm sure you have similar or are having conversations about having similar organizations and groups that can be recognized here in Puerto Rico to help and to advance the life sciences, to advance the space industry and the whole innovation space. So for many years, commerce and the state has taken a position to invest in the life science sector. So today we have a tech hub, and that tech hub includes biotech, manufacturing. It includes startups in the space. It includes the aviation space. I know that Honeywell has a presence here. They also have a presence in North Carolina. We have a supply chain of within the aviation space and manufacturers who are located in North Carolina and contribute. And so those are many of the ways and some of the ways that we are working to improve and enhance our innovation ecosystem, and also work to advance the science industry and the work that's there. But there again, the things that I've mentioned, the successes that have come about through preparation of leadership at the regional level, at the local level, and at the state level. And that leadership is required because the investments in those tools and the preparation, like education, it does take courageous, bold leadership to take a stand for those things. There's been a vision that took place back, I mentioned, in the 50s in North Carolina. And I wanted to state that because it doesn't happen overnight, but I believe that the success in North Carolina is a model and a place that you can look to and see what's possible with the work, the diligence, and the continued contributions like the ones that you are making here today. And North Carolina, thank you to, I mentioned Esther to you, Alegria, thank you to her networking and connecting people. We have begun a relationship with many of your leaders here and having conversations about how to share best practices. We can learn from you and you can learn from us. And we can collaborate together so that Puerto Rico and North Carolina is benefiting and achieving the mission and the work that we work to do every day as public servants, which is to improve the quality of life of all the residents and to improve the conditions for humankind. And so in 1950, when these things started for North Carolina was the 47th poorest state among the 48 states. But with the hard work and the investment and the attention from state leaders and people who could influence and make a difference, that had a say as to who those leaders are or were, we have emerged as a national recognized economic, I would say, boomer, and much success, but yet with a lot of other work to do, because the work is never done. It really is a journey. We share some of the same challenges, we share some of the same obstacles, and we share the same commitment to improve our communities and improve and open the doors for people. And today is an example of sharing that commitment towards science education and what science education can offer and what the youth can offer in that science education field. I think there was a poster session earlier, which I didn't see, but I'm sure those of you who went could see the brilliance and the bright minds that are with us today that offer a promising future, not only for Puerto Rico, but a promising future for the world, for that matter. There's probably some cutting edge things that were on those posters that really open the doors to many possibilities for the world. So this rise that has taken place in the economy in North Carolina was due to leadership, it was due to visionary, and it was due to a change in mindset. A change in mindset of the leadership and a change in mindset of the state from an economy that was once deep textiles and had a totally different focus to one that has blossomed into a high-tech, good-paying jobs for the residents of the state. So your future is bright. And I believe that you can see and feel that today by the energy. Don't you guys hear all that energy in the hallway? And they're all so hungry for lunch like you are. I know that. That's what the energy is about. But the future is bright, and what you have to offer the world and the nation is more than I can even begin to talk about. Not only do I sense that from the people who I interact with, the meetings I've had with your leadership, but from their presence here today, your commitment to working towards not only a good place in STEM education, but a brighter economy and a brighter place for this beautiful island. So it's important, and I think you'd all agree, to have the right people in the right positions and the right investments being made at the right time for success. So my call to action today for all of you is to continue to advocate and engage and to push your lawmakers, push your community, and push yourselves to do a little bit more than you did yesterday to contribute to a better Puerto Rico and a better world. I mean, we can look around the world today, you can turn on the TV at any time and recognize there is a need for people like you to engage. We have wars that are going on, right? We have a lot of political stuff that is going on. We have illnesses that are taken over and really disrupting people's lives and taking people's lives. We have hunger, we have housing problem, we have climate change. We have so many opportunities to make a difference and to contribute to a better future, not only for our children, but for our children's children and for generations to come. We have a chance, and you have a chance, to contribute to legacy building for an island that you have invested in, an island that you have grown up in, and an island that you are committed to and that you love. And so I would encourage you to continue to advocate, engage, push the lawmakers, push yourselves so that you can enable possibilities that are much better than they are today and for a bright and promising future. And together, I believe that we will make a difference and that we, as I mentioned to Secretary Sidre yesterday, and we agreed on this, that we both and we all, when we move on to other roles or other positions or whatever we do, we want to leave our places and make sure that our presence leaves our states and leaves this island better than it was the day that we started. And so thank you for the opportunity to be here, and thank you for listening to the insights. And if you are committed to the call of action of engaging a little more, advocating a little more, pushing a little more, including yourselves, let's hear a round of applause. Thank you.